Welcome to Spill the Tea, a podcast by Penang Institute where we get into the minds of individuals who break stereotypes. I'm your host, Bami Ting. So welcome to today's show where we are thrilled to have Alan Tan, a prominent environmentalist and former managing director of the Habitat Group, join us. With a career dedicated to sustainable tourism and environmental stewardship, Alan has been instrumental in establishing the Habitat Penang Hill as one of Malaysia's most renowned ecotourism destinations. Under his leadership, the Habitat became not just a tourist spot, but also an influential conservation center, blending the beauty of Penang's natural landscape with education and environmental protection, during which Penang Hill achieved the prestigious designation as a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve under the Man and the Biosphere Programme. In this episode, we'll dive into Alan's journey, explore the challenges and rewards of building a sustainable ecotourism initiative, and we'll also discuss his perspectives on the future of ecotourism in Malaysia and his advice for those passionate about making a positive environmental impact. Welcome to the show, Alan.
Hi, good morning, meeting.
Good morning. We're going to start off this episode by a quick fire round.
Sure. Oh,
all right.
Gosh.
Okay.
You didn't tell me about that.
That's the whole reason, right? It has
sure.
to be.
All right, I'll try to be as quick as possible.
Okay. All right. First off, describe what you do in one sentence.
I build sustainable, environmentally sound businesses. I help build. Yes.
All right.
Environmentally responsible, I should say, businesses. Yes.
Nice. Do you have a mantra in life?
Never give up.
Okay.
Yes.
Very important. Perseverance there.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your last meal on death row?
Oh gosh. Gui Dao Tung.
Oh, kway teow sung. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. If you had an extra hour in a day, what would you do with it?
Sleep.
Sleep. Okay. All right. I think a lot of us can conquer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially with a 5-year-old. Sleep is a premium.
Yeah. So, what's the best advice that you've ever gotten?
Oh gosh, what's the best advice I've ever gotten? That's a hard one, actually. I'm going to take my time with this one a bit, if you don't mind.
Please, yeah.
I guess never give up.
Okay.
And things will always be better tomorrow.
Okay.
If you keep at it and you believe in what you're doing. Do what you love, I guess, is another way to put it. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything, passion
Yes.
and love for
Yes.
your work or
Yes.
love for life even.
Absolutely. Yes.
Is really key
Yeah.
in living.
I think that passion is what differentiates a job from something that's more than that goes over and above just being a job. So I was told very early on in my journey with the Habitat by one of my staff that she noted, you do everything with a lot of heart and passion, and I said, I never thought of it that way. To be honest, I really truly never thought of it that way. But really, that has been my mantra, as you say. It has been what drives me. It has been what helps me through the difficult and stressful times, inevitably, that you face in life and in work. And it's really helped me just get through it and to look at the glass half full and all the rest of it. Yeah, stay positive. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Excellent advice for everyone, really. So, Alan, can you start by telling us a bit about your journey to being an environmentalist? Because I understand that you are a lawyer by training.
Yes.
And you worked in several countries in Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Hong Kong.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I studied arts and law, majoring in political science, and I dabbled in the legal profession for about 3 years. Got called to the bar in Malaysia and all the rest of it, and then I decided that it wasn't really for me, and I decided to join my family company. And at the time, we were embarking on building factories, garment factories in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. And so I did that for the next 5-6 years before I joined the Pacific Tiger Group, which is the mothership of the holding company for the Habitat Group. based in Hong Kong, and I was living in Hong Kong for about 6 years before I came back to Malaysia to start the Habitat project in 2014.
Oh wow!
Yes.
I mean that's
Yes.
quite different from where you
Yes.
started off by
Yes.
building factories like garment
Yes.
factories
So,
to being an
I-
environmentalist.
to be honest, I'm a little bit uncomfortable being described as an environmentalist.
Okay.
Because I really came from a very, very different background.
Yeah.
I always tell myself, that's why in my short bio is accidental environmentalist.
Right.
Because I sort of fell into this, when we started the project started envisioning the project, it was meant to be an ecotourism project. Very much, about business and trying to create something cool and fun. Sorry. When our founder, Dato Sri Harry Cockrell, called me and my dear friend Freddie Walker, who was the main master planner and designer for the park, in 2009, he said, come to the hill, guys, come to my house. I want to show you a really cool site that the Residents Association, Raja Bukit and Ahmad Chik showed us for a beautiful ecotourism project, a canopy walk and a nature trail. He goes, I want to create a commercially viable and successful business which generates income and profits. And with that money, we're going to do more and more cool things. So that was really the idea behind it all, to build a sustainable source of funding for environmentally sound and sustainable business
Right.
projects. So and heritage as well, is another passion of the family, the Cockrell family, our founders. So really, that's how we got into it. So I'm always really uncomfortable being described as an environmentalist because really it's not where I came from. Yeah. But I am very proud of the fact that in the course of the last almost 10 years of operations now of the Habitat Penang Hill Park, that we've managed to create a truly commercially sustainable and financially sustainable model to help protect our protected areas in Malaysia and to help make them self-sustaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think education is really a key
Absolutely.
part in the habitat. I mean, like as a Penangite, growing up, we would go to, let's say, botanical gardens and
Yes.
all. But like just going up to the habitat on Penang Hill, I'm just mind blown with how much I can learn as an adult about the flora and the fauna that we actually have just in our backyard.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And really, I think that's really the key. We aim to be a outdoor classroom, a nature education center. The motto is to reconnect people with nature and to help contribute towards the conservation of biodiversity through education, research, and sustainable tourism. So really that has been the core of and the driving force of everything that we do. And of course now we also have the Habitat Foundation, and that has just grown from strength to strength since first being established since first starting work in 2017. It wasn't even formally established until 2019, just before the pandemic. And it's been an amazing journey. I mean, just when I always quote Joe Siddiq always likes to say, the universe presents and brings together everything and connects all the dots. And I really do believe that. When we first started our journey, as I mentioned earlier, it was meant to be just an ecotourism business.
Right.
But it quickly grew into something so much more. It is really a model for the country. And I dare say, because if you think about it, most facilities of equivalent standard and offering globally, even in Singapore, are almost always publicly funded.
Right.
But we are not.
Yeah.
The Habitat Penang Hill, which is currently the main facility for the Habitat Group, but there will be more in the future, is 100% privately funded.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes. And of course, the state government is a very, very key partner. And of course, we couldn't have done it without their help and their support. It's a public-private partnership. But it's a great model of public-private partnership where society benefits, the government benefits, the public benefits, but yet the business also thrives at the same time. And only by having your own source of income can you really, truly be go on and to do more and more good things. Because without the financial sustainability built into the model, then you're always going to be trying to find money, sourcing for money, asking for for one of a better term handouts. And that really was that was not what we wanted from the very, very outset. Dr. Sri Hari said to us, I want to create something that is self-sustaining and profitable, because by doing that, we can do even more and more cool things.
More and more cool things. Also, like, it's very important to set out right at the beginning a very clear goal or clear idea of the business model on how this should be run. And just as a lot of initiatives in the state and the country should be the triple P model as well. And but like, what were some of the challenges you faced in making this vision a reality?
Well, we got off to a bit of a rough start, because in the second year of operations in 2017, we of course experienced the effects of climate change in Penang. Right. There was flooding in the lowlands. There was loss of life. Penang and Kedah and Perlis, the northern states of Peninsula, were hit very hard by Typhoon Damre in the South China Sea. On the hill, we faced over 300 landslides. In the habitat alone, we had over 20 landslides up and down our trail, and we had just completed the construction of Langer Way, our canopy walk, at the time. So we were hit quite hard. 30% of our park was knocked out, and we had to rebuild. So that was really quite a setback for us. I remember our co-founder, Reza Cockrell, the eldest son of Dr. Sri Hari and Puan Rosna, saying, when I met him in Hong Kong shortly after the typhoon, the events of 4th and 5th November that year, 2017, he said he was in tears when he saw the images coming in through the WhatsApp, the pictures and the videos from site. He was truly heartbroken. We all were. Of course, that, I think, was a rallying point for everyone. I think Penang bounced back, as they say, really quickly. And, Dr. Chok, and with the strong support of the state, LGE at the time and all the rest of it, the state government, Penang Hill reopened. For the first time, of course, in its 200-over-year history, Penang Hill was inaccessible for the first time to the public, completely inaccessible, because both the jeep track and the train were knocked out. But then within a period of less than 60 days, it reopened. And it was such a wonderful feeling. And we just have never looked back since then. COVID, of course, I don't need to go into great detail about COVID. COVID was a huge blow for everyone. If it weren't for COVID, I believe that we would have been profitable as a business by 2020. We were well on the way to being profitable by 2020. Unfortunately, we were set back by 2 years. But coming out of COVID, we have grown, and we have just grown from strength to strength. The business has really established itself. We were one of the only tourism attractions in Penang, and I dare say Malaysia, that actually raised prices post-COVID. So that really was something that we were very proud of. And at the same time, the visitor numbers have never been higher. And it's only growing year to year. Now with the whole visa-free policy and all that for China and India and so on and so forth, the resumption of travel, the full recovery of international travel, post-COVID, I think we only have really some amazing and great years to look forward to.
So I suppose the numbers must be soaring. Now.
I think we're not the only ones. The whole industry is benefiting from the rebound and the comeback. But who would have ever imagined that? When we first opened in 2016, we just opened our nature trail. And I remember people saying, and we charge 20 ringgit for an adult and 10 ringgit for a child. And I remember people saying, why would I want to go into and pay for access to a nature trail when I can get it for free? Even on Penang Hill, all you see is forest. You don't even see the city. Why you go to Penang Hill if you don't even see the city? And you had comments like that. Whereas I remember 2023, someone saying to me, I always used to think you were very expensive, but now I realize that you're actually very cheap for what you guys offer.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you were saying earlier about how you feel sometimes that you're not in Penang.
In Penang, exactly, when I'm in the habitat.
When in the habitat.
Yeah.
And really, I one of my proudest moments I remember was 2017, I believe it was, or 2018. Dr. Saw Ling Guan, the former curator of Penang Botanic Gardens, he had a guest, Dr. Nigel Taylor, from Singapore Botanic Gardens visiting, giving a lecture at the Botanic Gardens facility here in Waterfall Road. And in last minute, on the spur of the moment, he said, "Alan, can I bring Dr. Nigel from Penang, Singapore Botanic up to the hill?" And Dr. Nigel Taylor is the one that helped Singapore Botanic Gardens get the World Heritage Site listing.
Oh, wow.
Prior to that, he had been with Q and helped Q get World Heritage listing. So this is someone
This is huge.
He knows his.
Person.
Let's just say he knows his stuff, right? He came and we were visiting the park, walking in facilities, and he said, "Oh, what a treat, Ling Guan. This is such a treat. It's like Gardens by the Bay, but natural."
Natural, yeah.
And I was like,
Oh, man.
you cannot believe how
proud.
proud I felt. And being a Penang Lang and
Yeah.
being a Penang boy, grew up, this is my kampong, Platypus and whatnot. And just growing up, and Penang Hill is such a big part of our heritage right now and our childhood. It's just it was something that I felt so proud about being a part of.
Yeah.
And the other comment which I remember, one of the guests, so one of my colleagues overheard a guest, non-Malay, just a visitor to Penang, remark, "Oh, this reminds me of Costa Rica, don't you think?" And I thought, wow, because Costa Rica is literally one of the top ecotourism destinations globally.
World,
and to be compared to that, really was, and I can go on and on about examples of when I felt incredibly proud to be a part of this this entire project. Another one was the first time I saw Curtis Crest from an aeroplane passing over Penang Hill. It was mind-blowing. I was like, wow, and not from a drone picture, but from an aeroplane live, passing over on the way to Langkawi one morning. I think it was a 7 a.m. flight or something ridiculous like that. And it was like, wow, it's really a part of Penang. Yeah. It's literally a part of Penang. We were talking about that earlier.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. And it's something which I'm incredibly, incredibly proud.
Yeah, I think a lot of Penangites have to be proud with the habitat and all the efforts that have been put into it.
Yeah.
I'm a Penangite, and like whenever I go up there, I've been going up more frequent lately.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I'll be like, okay, I'm up on Penang Hill, I might as well just enter the habitat and just enjoy the scenery and the facilities there. It's so amazing. It's amazing.
It's a very we want it to be a contemplative place, a place for people to really just slow down and to reconnect. At the same time, of course, when we were designing the park, I remember Freddie and his partner at the time, Matt McGrory, saying to me and to Dato Sri and Reza, we think that we will need to, although it's going to be a really cool place and like you're going to be surrounded by beautiful forest and nature on the other side of Penang Hill, the forgotten views of Penang Hill, the rolling hills that lead to the Andaman Sea. They said, but I think that we need to add some cool attractions. That's how they came up with the idea for Curtis Crest, which is really the highest publicly accessible viewing point in Penang Island. The only comparable would probably be Gunung Jerai on the mainland, which is higher. But the other highest point, of course, is Western Hill, but it's a military radar station which is inaccessible to the public. So anyway, they decided that although for the most part, unfortunately, more than 80% of people are generally, yes, they love nature, yes, they don't mind being in nature for a time, but you need to give them a reason to want to come. Especially to pay money to come. Yeah. So that's why we added the beautiful infrastructure that we added. Yep. And it was almost a happy coincidence that we created a rainforest discovery center, because you can walk from the forest floor into the mid-story of the treetops, through the infrastructure that we've put in place. And the person that pointed this out to us was our science advisor and partner, Dr. Meg Lohman, in and around 2016 when she came to visit us. And when she came, she started advising us on how we can make the habitat into a world-class destination for rainforest research and canopy research, because she's actually a canopy researcher at the time. She helped us organize the Penang Hill BioBlitz in October 2017, which is another project which I was involved in, which I'm incredibly proud of, because it brought 117 scientists from around the world, as well as students of science from around the world, and importantly, from the School of Biological Sciences here in Penang at USM, to Penang Hill for a period of 2 weeks. And they fanned out into the rainforest, and they recorded all the biodiversity, the flora and fauna in the area over a period of 2 weeks. And they discovered over 2,500 species of flora and fauna in that short period of time, including, we believe, some species which are new to science. So it's quite amazing if you think about it, because Penang was, of course, the first straight settlements in Southeast Asia. Yeah. So it's always been a destination for natural scientists to come and record. That's why many species are named Penangensis, Curtisii after Charles Curtis, Botanic Gardens, etc. But even then, after over 200 years of research, there are still species that we are unaware of. Yeah. So imagine in a small place like Penang Hill, just imagine, extrapolate that throughout Peninsular Malaysia, throughout Borneo, throughout the world. I mean, just how much we still don't know, and how much wonderful, rich, biodiversity there is still to be discovered.
Exactly.
So we also importantly involved over 75 students of high school age in the expedition. From Hong Kong, the US, Malaysia, Singapore. They came in and they joined the scientists in the field in the 2 weeks. And then all the data from this was then donated to the Penang state government and the Malaysian government, and it formed the biodiversity baseline data for the dossier for the application for the Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve to UNESCO.
Right.
So, and it was really, we were the ones that sort of brought the idea of a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve under the Man in Biosphere Programme to the public realm. It was very quickly adopted by the Penang state government. Dr. Chok became the leader of the initiative under Penang Hill Corporation, and really we haven't looked back since. We got the designation in 2021 on the 15th of September, and I believe that is something which, because biosphere reserves are model sites for sustainable development. Yeah. They're supposed to re-examine our relationship with nature, people's relationship with nature, and how we can more sustainably manage our natural resources for the benefit of society, for economic development, but without destroying, destroying at the same time. So really, I believe that this is a fantastic and amazing global platform. We are now part of over 750 biosphere reserves globally in the World Network of Biosphere Reserves. I believe Penang, being such a small and compact place, highly urbanized environment, we can really act as a model for many other sites.
Other sites.
Yes, and we can, we can lead as usual. We can take the lead, especially for Malaysia. As we already do, of course, in many ways. Yeah.
So, on that note, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what are some of your hopes for the future of ecotourism in Malaysia? I mean, are there any emerging trends or practices that you believe should be incorporated?
I really think that we're at a unique point in human history when we really have to realize, and increasingly we do realize, that business as usual is not going to work. We really do have to re-examine how we approach economic development and the betterment of society, quote unquote. We have to really examine ways that we can do it more sustainably. We can do it without harming the natural world. And I think that given the ingenuity that exists in mankind, in humankind, sorry, it can be done. Whether it's just thinking out of the box a bit and employing nature-based solutions. So one of the things I said last week was that we need to put nature at the center of our decision making, and I don't mean that in a fluffy go and hug a tree way. I really mean, hey, we need to consider nature as a major stakeholder whenever we sit around the table and say, hey, should we build that road? Should we should we build the airport extension in Tioman? The NRES said no, we shouldn't, because the cost of doing it to the environment is too high. So they went against, I'm sure, some very powerful voices in the private sector and said, no, we're not going to allow it. So, we need to make those hard decisions and not be afraid to make those hard decisions. We also need to be bold, I feel, in how we approach the future and how we approach problems and challenges and opportunities, that are presented to us. We need to. So for example, I recently met a company from Singapore which produces a very high-end reusable, just single-use product, but plates, containers, takeaway boxes, and they said, Penang would be a great place for us to come and break into in Malaysia as a first place out of Singapore. Our technology is superior because of this and that, yada yada yada. There are many reasons. I won't go into them, but so it's just things like that, I think. And then they say, we're going to meet with the relevant authorities, and we want to convince them that they should pilot it, and all that. But we're facing so many challenges, and there's so many people telling us why they cannot be done, and I'm like, just do it. I said, just keep at it, because we cannot ignore it anymore. We cannot ignore the problems that single-use plastic present to us anymore. We cannot ignore the problems that food security, over-reliance on carbon-based fuels, and so on and so forth. We cannot ignore it anymore. We cannot ignore these problems anymore, because we are facing all the consequences of having ignored it and kicked the ball down the road, kicked the can down the road, over the decades, over these past decades. We have to face it, and I believe that we can. There are, even here in Penang, I'm so proud to say that a very dear friend of mine, Joseph Gore from Entopia, has embarked on a new business that involves black soldier fly. His black soldier fly project, which is basically a form of dealing with food waste and organic waste. Black soldier fly, which is basically organic waste, is the food source for the black soldier flies, and black soldier flies are like I call them the palm oil of the insect world, because every single part and byproduct of the black soldier fly is commercializable and monetizable, and I think that's amazing. And that is a solution that's homegrown. Of course, it's not. It didn't originate here. I'm sure it's being applied. I'm sure many people are doing it. But even here in Penang, we have people doing it and trying to go into this, look at things differently. So I think that we all need to do that. We all need to look at the issues and the problems facing us as a society and as a community, and we need to face them with a mind to being more kind to the environment, less damaging to the environment. One thing which the Habitat Group is working on is, and has been a part of, and the foundation in particular, is helping to establish the Al Sultan Abdullah Royal Tiger Reserve in Pahang, which of course the primary objective of which is to help save the Malayan tiger. There are less than 150 tigers in the wild left of the specific species that's unique to Malaysia, to Peninsula. And in that project, again, the whole idea is to create sustainable sources of financing for conservation. There is opportunities for sustainable forestry. There's opportunities for carbon credit projects. There's opportunities. The opportunities are endless, especially in this age of ESG.
Yes,
everybody's talking about it. All regulators are pushing it down. From top down, societies are demanding it from the
Demanding it.
bottom up.
Yep.
So I think that the solutions are there. We need to be bold. I think Penang is. I always think of Penang as this fantastic little place where, relatively small place where we can do so much and really be a test case for so many things. I think that more and more people are listening. People, and more and more people are appreciating the need for this. To try and be bold in this way.
So that was a lot of information first. So I know you mentioned some of your proudest moments just now. So like looking back, right, in your whole journey so far. Because we don't know what's next for you yet.
Neither do I.
I mean, like, what would be like the most key point you think of your time in the habitat or in your career?
Of course, the first day we opened was a great high note.
Yeah.
The BioBlitz was another high note. To be honest, the recovery from the landslides were a very, very high note for me because Penang Hill really came together as a community. Penang came together as a community, of course, but in the microcosm of it all, Penang Hill really banded together. Everybody realized that we're stronger together. I know it's all cliche. I'm sorry to throw all these cliches out, but
it is what it is.
It's the truth.
Yeah,
yes.
it's the truth.
Especially in times of adversity.
Yeah.
We really were stronger together.
Yep.
And banded together as a community. Penang Hill really is what makes it special.
It's like a family.
It's a family. It's a community. You literally almost know every single person there. I know all the Bangla workers as well. Even I know the caretakers. I know the bungalow owners. You know everybody. It's a wonderful place. That's really what makes it special. Penang, of course, is like that on a bigger scale. Yeah. But Penang Hill itself, it's really a community, and I think that's what we, all of us on Penang Hill, including Dr. Chok and the team, and all of us at the Habitat, and all the stakeholders. That's what we try. We are trying very hard to preserve and that sense of community, that strength as a community, because that's really what sets us apart. It's oftentimes it can also work both ways. Sometimes having a tight-knit community can also be resistant to change and so on and so forth. But I believe that Penang Hill is very different in that way. Everyone's very open to change. Yeah. At the same time, we don't want to lose what makes us special. Yeah. And I think that is applicable to anything in everywhere in Penang and anywhere really. That special sense of place that makes it unique, and I think that's something that we should all be mindful about. And there's always a balance. I'm a diplomat if nothing else. I always believe that there is a middle ground, and that there are such things as win-win solutions. So I really always encourage people to look at problems that way and challenges that way.
Yeah. All right.
There's always a way.
Thank you so much, Alan, for your words of wisdom, but also for sharing your very rich experience while working at the Habitat. And I think as a Penangite, I'm like so proud that this exists on the hill.
Yes.
And thanks very much for speaking with me today, Alan.
Thank you.
I've been speaking to Alan Tan, accidental environmentalist and former managing director of the Habitat Group.
Thank you.
This
Thank
is
you so much.
a podcast by Penang Institute.